Hello there and welcome to LearnBytes, the show that delivers bite-sized pieces of wisdom so you can learn how to increase your efficiency and productivity, embrace your natural creativity and lead with impact. I'm Samantha Garrett from Using Technology Better, and joining me on the show today is Cheryle Walker. So Cheryle is a consultant, facilitator and instructional designer of live online workshops, webinars and events. So I'm really excited about this conversation because I know Cheryle's got some amazing insight to share. So let's jump in now, meet Cheryle, find a bit more about her and get this conversation going. Hey Cheryle, thanks for joining me on the show today.
Hi Sam, it's good to be here.
So excited for our conversation about efficiency and productivity today.
Me too.
Awesome. Well, before we jump into our speed round of our 8 questions, 4 minutes, I thought you might just like to share a little bit about yourself, what you're passionate about perhaps.
Yeah, so I'm absolutely passionate about this environment, this arena, being live online with people, creating, impactful interactions, helping people work together who might work remotely, helping people learn together who get together in virtual workshops, webinars, that kind of thing. Just mad for it. Yeah, I work almost exclusively in this webcam square. This is my comfort zone.
I love it. Your office is the webcam square. What a beautiful way to think about it.
That's it. Yeah.
That's so cool. And I'd love to hear too, because I know that when we first, spoke, I was so impressed that you were doing all of this like long before it was a thing. So did you want to maybe share how long you've been in this live online space?
Yeah, so it's around 18 years now that I've been working in virtual classrooms and helping people set up virtual classrooms. And Zoom wasn't around then. Zoom's only about 5 or 6 years old. But yeah, we've used many different technologies over the years, perfected techniques, got more human about it. And then last year, of course, everybody hopped on and we've met people's pets and seen inside people's homes and all that kind of stuff. It used to be quite stilted until last year, and now we're finding it a whole lot more natural. But helping people use this wisely rather than overuse it. There's been a lot said about Zoom fatigue and that kind of thing, so I'm passionate about helping people use this more naturally and more effectively. If we talk about productivity and efficiency, I think we've over zoomed things. We can pull it back a little bit and get cleverer about it now.
Yeah. And like, that's when we had our first conversation, what appealed to me so much. Cause I've totally felt that over zoomed.
Yes.
That fatigue. Yeah. So working smarter, not harder in an online live environment like this is so different. So that's awesome. Well, thank you, Cheryle. Are you ready? Shall we jump into our speed round?
Yes. Yeah, let's go.
Good. All right. So as you know, bite size, 8 questions, 4 minutes, efficiency, productivity. I've got the timer. I'm just going to pop it on. All right, and then we will go. First mobile phone and current phone.
So my first mobile phone was a not so mobile, a Motorola in-car, in-console kind of thing, the big brick ones that actually had a cord on it. So that was many, many years ago when I was a territory representative for Mobil Oil in Australia. So one of the first in-car mobile phones.
Yeah, and current?
Current, yes, an iPhone 12. Just starting to get into the iPhone 12 without the home button, but coping okay.
A bit more portable than the old car phone.
Absolutely, yeah.
What does working efficiently and productively mean to you, Cheryle?
Yeah, to me, it means being in the flow, things coming naturally. So it might be for me synchronizing the tasks I have in any particular week or day with my mood and my level of energy, because if you're in the right mindset to do the task, then you'll be most efficient with it. So sometimes I switch my day completely on its head because I just don't feel like doing what needs to be done. I might feel like it later in the afternoon. So I'll do something more creative in the morning, or switching things up a bit.
So when and where do you work best?
At home in my where I am now, in my home studio, my home office, and as I said, within the webcam square is where I do my best work.
I love it. Favorite app for helping your efficiency or productivity?
I'm loving Google Taskboard. I've tried so many to-do apps in my
Yeah.
time that I've downloaded or that I've used on a laptop or Windows environment. But Google Taskboard, I find simple enough, yet sophisticated enough to be able to manage multiple projects and tasks, as well as it synchronizes across all of my devices, no matter whether they're Android or Apple.
Cool. Awesome. Biggest efficiency and productivity challenge?
Um, Examining my own productivity. I think we can be our own hardest critics. I like to work hard. I like to take on loads of work and then run at the fastest pace I can. I'm also quite a creative person, so as I'm moving, I tend to be thinking of more things I can do.
Yeah.
But I think I have a high output, but I'm constantly thinking, oh, I could do more, and I'd love to pursue that. So yeah, just being critical of that.
Interesting. So then the number one thing you've done that has had the biggest impact on your efficiency or productivity?
Yeah, joining a business coaching group has been really helpful. It's
Yeah.
once a week, and I'm about to go into that twice a week because I'm writing a book. So there's going to be a second session for book writers, just connecting with people socially. And it all happens via Zoom, via this environment.
Yeah.
But that accountability and that catch up, they are kind of, in the business coaching group, the people are feeling like my colleagues when I work in this space.
Interesting. We got a minute left. So number 7, book, video or podcast that you would recommend to others?
Yeah, the one I'm diving into at the moment is Seth Godin's, I think it's his latest book called The Practice, Shipping Creative Work. And so it's very much focused on shipping the creative work. In other words, not getting caught in that creative cycle of perfection, but actually getting stuff out there and getting market feedback and continuing to evolve from there. So I'm loving it. Seth Godin's wisdom is just endless.
Cool. We'll definitely pop that one in the show notes. And then last question. Awesome. If you could save an hour each day and spend it doing something you love, what would you choose and why?
Go down to the beach. The beach is my peaceful place. And in Bayside, Melbourne, we live not too far from the beach. And then we have a beach house down in South Gippsland in Victoria. So either place that I'm working, love to run down the beach, winter or summer, just to see the water and see what the weather's like down there. It's a peaceful place.
Awesome. Oh, great work.
Right on time.
Right on time. Woo!
Nice work. That's efficient and productive, isn't it?
It is. I know whenever we do our efficiency and productivity theme and people come in on time, we're like, yes, we've matched the theme. That's awesome.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much for those answers.
No worries. That was fun.
I would love to touch back on your answer to I'm just double checking. The working efficiently. Number 2, when you mentioned about aligning what you're being in flow and aligning what you do to your energy, and you said you often like reshuffle your day, which I find so interesting because, sometimes on the show and with other guests, we've talked about time blocking and really going, this is what I'm going to do in this particular time. And I love that you're adjusting that around your energy. I wondered if you could talk a little bit more to that.
Yeah, so sometimes a task can be weighty. You might be procrastinating on that task because you don't know where to start, or it might be just that you haven't got the verve or the vibe for it yet. Yeah. So if I'm sitting down with a task or a project that I'm thinking, I just don't feel like doing this and it's just not flowing, then I can do one of two things. I could either put it aside until the weight of urgency starts to work. I'm a person who, if there's a deadline there, eventually I will get in the mood and the mode for it, but sometimes I need to wait closer to the deadline until it's quite pressing, and then my brain will kick into gear on it. Or the other thing I might do is, if I've got a particularly gnarly project or problem I'm working on, rather than starting at the beginning of it, I might start somewhere in the middle or at the end. Because I think too often we get caught in that mindset of, we've got to start at the beginning, we've got to start constructing this from the natural point that we would begin, rather than saying, I don't know what I'm going to do with that bit yet, but I'll create some other bit. For example, writing my book, I've started with the book cover. I've created the book cover rather than starting at chapter 1 or, because what that does is it creates the weight of momentum that you can actually, I can almost touch and feel this book now. Now I've, can start writing chapters for it because I can see what the cover looks like and what it's going to look like when it's finished. So that's just one example of starting where you're ready, as opposed to necessarily starting at the start of something.
That's super interesting, because you're right. Like, how often do people go, I just don't know where to start? And like, that's the thing. It's like,
Yeah.
they're feeling they have to start at the beginning, but that's a really creative
and I
idea.
say
I love
start
it.
anywhere. What is it that's fascinating you about the task, or what is it that you're curious about? Start there. So instead of starting on a project, I might start reading something about the project or researching something about it, and eventually you'll find that hook in your head that goes, there's where my motivation is, or now it's becoming clearer what I'm going to do or how I'm going to do it.
Cool. And then that would help set that momentum, as you said, and get in that flow to just keep going with it.
Yeah. I do a lot of design work. I do a lot of design work for clients, designing workshops or webinars or learning programs. And similar thing, I could start at module 1 or what they've outlined as module 1. But if that's not making sense to me, I might dive in somewhere else.
That's really, really clever. And I guess in order to do that, have you first kind of mapped out what that kind of the pieces of that project or that puzzle? So then you're like, well, I'm not going to start with piece 1, I'm going to start with piece 5. Like, is that a prerequisite to what you're describing, or?
It's the recommended way you do instructional design. Yes. And eventually you have to have that to guide what you're doing. But I'm quite a visual thinker. So whether I've got that overall map or not, I might start tinkering with some visual models that will help the learner understand what they need to learn. And out of that, it kind of explodes outwards. And then I might come to a certain point where, okay, I've got to stop mucking with this and actually getting back to a linear fashion of working. But that will be what has, got the momentum to get started. So something needs to trigger the start. Something needs to inspire you to dive in somewhere, and then once you're in it, you're kind of on board and you're in flow, in motion.
So it just sounds like find that inspiration, find that trigger, no matter where in the process
no matter where it is.
Roll with it.
Because I think we can be too hard on ourselves. We kind of might sense where that fascination is with a project or a task, but we say to ourselves, no, but I have to start at the start, or that's step 5 and I'm not there yet or ready yet. And I say, just go with where your curiosity is and have a play in that space, and that will get you momentum. That'll get you started.
I love that. That's so powerful. And I'm totally guilty of like, oh, that's the good bit. You have to wait. You can't get to that yet. I'm totally going to take that.
You can't have your ice cream yet because you haven't,
haven't eaten the vegetables. So true.
Yet when we think about it, when we go on holidays, we don't worry about what time of day it is. We just, particularly if you're somewhere in America where they serve breakfast all day and dinner all night, and, then you do just eat when you're hungry when you're on holidays, because there's no structure that you kind of feel like you have to fit into. And that can be, quite inspiring.
I think that's wonderful advice. Thank you. Awesome. Well, I've really enjoyed our conversation today, Cheryle.
Excellent. Thanks, Sam. Yeah.
You're welcome. Before we wrap up, though, before I bid you farewell, did you want to share with the audience where they can find you and connect with you?
Yes. So you can find me on LinkedIn, Cheryle Walker, or you can find me on my own website, Cheryle E. Walker. So there's 2 E's in my name. It's Cheryle with an E on the end, and then an ewalker.com.
Cool. And I'll link to that too. And I'll tag you, of course, when we go live in the post so people can find you.
Wonderful.
Awesome. Well, thanks again. I really enjoyed that. And I've got some practical things to take away in terms of tackling things now. So really appreciate it.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks for the conversation.
No worries. See you later.
Bye now.
Bye.
Hello, it's me again. Thank you so much, as always, for tuning into today's show. I really hope that you found that conversation with Cheryle as useful as I did. I really, really love that idea that we don't have to start at the beginning. We can start with what inspires us or what sparks us just to get going with a project. So I think that's something really practical that we can take away from today's show. Now, if you've not already subscribed, if you are watching us on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to the Using Technology Better YouTube channel, or if you're listening to the podcast version, follow the show on your favourite podcast platform so you're notified of all of the latest episodes. Also, we do have that fortnightly newsletter full of efficiency, productivity and organisation tips, so I'll pop the link to that in the show notes below. Also along with that book from Seth Godin that Cheryle recommended as well. All right, so that's it from me, but I will see you again soon for another bite-sized piece of the learning adventure that is life. See you then.